The resource file assignment is one that has a pretty lengthy history. In a nutshell, this used to be an assignment that was done during the methods semester, and students would put together a file of teaching ideas. And it used to actually literally be a physical file. It was a file box filled with folders that had teaching ideas in them that you could run to the copy machine kind of thing. Eventually that evolved into an electronic file. And one of the things that my students have told me for quite a while in the methods course is that they wish they had started the resource file the year before, because you come across so many good teaching ideas within a year or two that it would be good to sort of take that assignment and make it more than just one semester of trying to put it together while you're in methods. So with that in mind, now that we have this part 1, part 2 sequence going on, I've set this assignment up so that you establish a resource file during the 3740 class that gets turned in for a couple of different checks during this semester. You continue that same resource file during the methods semester, and then it will be checked again at that time. So it's sort of like an ongoing assignment that goes through both of the semesters. So what it amounts to is we come across as teachers good teaching ideas in lots of different places. We go to a conference and we pick up an idea that somebody shared. We're rummaging around on the internet and we find this really cool teaching idea at a website or an applet or something. Or we're flipping through a resource book and we find this really cool problem that we could use in a geometry class. Or we're talking to our cooperating teacher in the classroom, and they share a classic problem with you that they've done before, and you get a copy of it. Nobody steals ideas like teachers do, and that's what it's all about, is being able to borrow and beg and borrow some of the best things that other people are using in their classes. So what this assignment is all about is really being a collecting place of teaching ideas that you've found in various places, a variety of different places. And so it's called the resource file assignment, and there are a couple things that we need to know about it. First of all, if you go under in Canvas, if you click on the Assignments button, you find there two different places where it's listed. One is it's listed as a checkpoint, first of all, and then it's also listed as a final, because there's two different times I'm actually going to look at your resource file during the semester. The first time you have a couple of months to do, and you start setting the resource file up and you put a couple of teaching ideas in each of your electronic folders. By the end of the semester, when I'm checking it for the last time, you have to have at least 6 teaching ideas in each one of the folders. So let's talk a little bit about those folders and what the requirement is. From the assignments page, when you click on, for example, the checkpoint, you can download a couple of things. So the first one is a sample resource file you can click on. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. And you can also click here to get the scoring rubric for the assignment, which is I've already downloaded. So when you click here, you will get this sheet. And it lays out exactly what is expected for the assignment. You are creating an online electronic resource file, and you're creating it in the Google Drive. And when you have documents in a Google Drive, you can then share them with someone else, and so you will share your file with me. The address that you're going to share to is my Google address. That actually makes this the cleanest, easiest way. My Google address is Brayer, my last name, and the number 2@gmail.com. So when you finish your resource file and you've got it ready to share with me, you're going to share it to Brayer2@gmail.com. I will accept that, be able to look into your resource file at any time to see how it's coming along. In the description here, it talks about what the file has to have. It's got to have a table of contents. It has to have 5 electronic folders organized by what are called conceptual categories. Within each of the folders, there have to be at least 6 teaching ideas by the end of the semester, and those ideas have to come from a variety of different places and be stored over on a Google Drive. So the checklist of things I'm going to look for here is you have to create these electronic folders. There'll be a folder for number and quantity, one for algebra, one for functions, one for geometry, and one for statistics and probability. Those are the 5 conceptual categories in the Common Core State Standards for secondary math. You'll have a minimum of 6 teaching ideas in each folder, and they have to come from a variety of sources. There will be this table of contents. I said here a Word file, but really it amounts to more of a spreadsheet for most of you, and so I'll talk about that in a second. It has to be organized, neatly done, and shared on your Google Drive. And these resources have to come from a variety of places. So this is kind of the way to look at it. I'm looking at each of these folders having ideas having come from 4 different sources. You need to have something from an NCTM resource. It could be an NCTM journal, Math Teaching in the Middle School, or Mathematics Teacher, or whatever, a resource book. We have plenty of those in Prism. It could be something that you've downloaded from the internet, from some website, a teacher website or whatever. An idea that comes from a physical book, and an idea that comes specifically from a journal. And so what I do is, in checking this, I'm going to look, for example, at your algebra folder. And your algebra folder, by the end of the semester, has to have at least 6 teaching ideas in it. And at least one of those has to come from NCTM, at least one come from the internet, at least one from a book, and at least one from a journal. And then you can obviously double up because you're going to have 6 different ideas. But this is what I'm going to use kind of as a checklist to make sure you've gotten them from a variety of places. I do that because when I first started doing the resource file, I found a lot of people taking a really easy way out and just jumping on the internet and downloading everything they can find and just stuffing it in the folder. And that really wasn't what I was going for here. I wanted you to learn to rummage and find ideas from sources other than just the internet. So I'll be looking for that. There's a simple scoring rubric that I use here on a scale of up to 15. This assignment is worth 25 points altogether. You get 10 points for meeting all the requirements at the checkpoint, and then you get scored on this rubric for the 15 points, additional 15 points at the end of the semester. And then what will happen is you will keep that resource file up and running at your Google Drive, and when you take methods, we will be doubling the number of activities in there and putting at least a half dozen more in there, so that by the time you finish methods, you're going to have a resource file that's got at least 12 teaching ideas in each folder that you can easily access. You're teaching a particular topic and you say, oh, where was that one problem that I was doing with probability? Well, you know exactly where it is. You can go in the probability folder and it's going to be there. So as far as how you set that up, I have a student in another class who did a nice example of this that has given me permission to share it with you so you can see what that looks like. So if you click here on the sample resource file, you will pull this page up, and this is an example of his resource file that he put together. You'll notice that he's got 5 different folders here, and he's also got a table of contents. So you can actually use this as your kind of a template for setting up your own math resource file, because they're all basically going to look very much the same. They're just going to have different teaching ideas in them. So I click on the table of contents. He's actually created a document here within Google Docs. It's a kind of a Google Docs spreadsheet. And he froze the first 3 lines here so that you can easily edit it, or it could be edited if if we wanted to do that. But you get the idea of kind of what this looks like. And there is a tab down here. He's added a tab for each one of the different resources. So here is his algebra area and functions and geometry. Each has its own color. Kind of neat how he set that up. So if you look, for example, in this statistics and probability, you'll notice that he's got his 6 teaching ideas in here. He's told the title. He's got a title for each resource. He's got where it came from. This was a web idea. This was an NCTM journal. This was from a textbook. He's telling who the authors are, and he's telling what the year of publication is, as well as what the original source title was, or if it was a web site, he's got a hot link here that can send you directly to that website. So that's what the requirements say in the syllabus, that you have to have kind of a title, where it came from, the original source title or web address, the author if known, and the year of publication. So your table of contents is going to look something like that. So it's very easy for me to sort of click through and see what you've come up with. And then you can see that each one of these folders, so for example, if I click on the functions folder, inside of it, here are the ideas that he's put together. So here's, for example, a PDF. And I can click on that. So he found this actually on the web at the Illuminations website from NCTM. He found this neat problem doing polynomials. So he downloaded it. He actually kind of printed it to a PDF and put that right into his resource file. In another case, he actually has a website that has a function machine on it that he liked. And if you click there, This is the web address that you can click on to go to that function machine, and he's got just a quick short explanation here. And it says also in the syllabus that if you're going to link for one of your resources, if it's going to be a link to a web address, that I need to know what that link is and a short description, usually just a sentence or two of what I would find if I click on that link would be included there. So each one of these folders, as I go through them, has got another set of activities in it. So if I go over here to number and quantity, once again, it's taking me some time. There it is. Here are the 6 teaching ideas that are there. Again, he's got PDF files, he's got web links and so forth, and each one of these things either found, printed, downloaded, or whatever from the internet as teaching ideas. So that's what we're going for, and by the checkpoint date, the requirement is that you have to have all 5 of your folders set up and a table of contents set up that can be easily added to. And within each of those folders is required to be 2, at least, teaching activities. And then you're going to continue to add to those. You'll add at least 4 more, so that by the end of the semester, when I'm doing the final check, you'll have at least 6 ideas in each of those folders. Some people find it convenient, as long as they're at it, to get that going sooner rather than later. And if you want to go ahead and set the file up and put at least 6 ideas in each folder and do it now, you can. There's nothing to say that you can't complete the entire assignment in the first month of class if you want to. But the dates on the calendar are there to sort of push you to make sure you at least have it started, a couple of ideas in it, a couple more ideas added later, so that you have a little bit of sort of working room for that. But you finish it on your own time schedule as long as you've met the dates in the syllabus for the checkpoint. So you have the rubric that I'm using, you have this video explaining it, and you have a sample resource file that you can look at that you could sort of model yours after. And at that point, if you have any other questions about the assignment, anything I can help you with, you let me know, and I can answer those questions in class. Good luck.